So it's going to be a mix of we're going to speak a mix of English and Arabic, and I hope that's okay with people. And before we get into things, I wanted to just go through a few words that will probably come up during this session that I figured we might want to explain before we jump into this session. And I think online harassment in some cases is quite clear, but does everyone know what trolling is? Okay. How about, well, stalking? Stalking? So it's stalking, but it's, and I'm talking particularly online stalking. Non-consensual image sharing, which is also, like, the more popular term is, you may have heard of, is revenge porn, which I find that, like, many people find extremely problematic. I'm one of them, because there's an assumption that it's revenge or porn. But so we're going to use non-consensual image sharing. Also, let me go through this. Doxing, dropping documents or exposing people's, like, private IDs or addresses. Okay, so I think it's quite clear for people. Awesome, wow, okay. Okay, so we're gonna jump into this. You wanna explain it?
Flaming is sort of, if I can give it, okay. Hey. Flaming is pretty much of a term that is kind of one of the most familiar, which is بالمصري بنقول عليه تحفيل. تحفيل يعني تحط حد على الستيج كده وتتحفل عليه. ماشي؟ سواء بقى ان
ترجمي.
لو في يتحفل عليه، اوكي، يعني اجيب يعني مثلا حد قال كلمه مثلا او حد بيقول شيء problem انك to put him on stage and start بقى shading them and shaming them and ممكن يتخللها بقى حاجات ليها دعوه بان انت to out them، ان انت to say very private information about them، ان انت to pretty much to defame them. This is called flaming. When it happens successively and very repetitively, this is called flaming.
Okay. Caroline, you want to say something? Okay. I mean, if we're going to use online harassment as a term, or hate speech, which falls somewhat under it, or can fall under it, there are a lot of different forms of attacks that happen, and there are so many different, like, terminologies that are used. So I'm just covering some of the critical ones that might pop up as a result. I mean, there's also outing, like different forms of outing that you're going to hear about as well. You wanted to say something about flaming?
Well, it's not really about flaming. Maybe it's also important to highlight that, like, platform to platform, that there are different forms of harassment that can seem similar or be described in similar ways. So if you look at, like, the Wikimedia projects and English language Wikipedia in particular, like, they have their own historic definitions of different forms of harassment. Or if you look at Sina Weibo, for example, they have similar definitions of things about harassment that, when translated, are still somewhat different than forms of harassment on Twitter. Sina Weibo looks like Twitter and functions like Twitter in mainland China, but there are forms of harassment that the nuances of them, they may look like a form of harassment on Twitter, but they're actually different. They're amplified differently, which we can talk about way later.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's worth highlighting that there are harassment-specific terminologies and actions that are platform to platform, and then culture to culture.
Thank you. Yes, precisely. And we're gonna, like, sort of delve into that, like, partly the definitions and how people perceive things, like how people perceive what forms of harassment and stuff. We're also gonna talk a bit about the relationship between online and offline as well. And I'm going to start introducing the speakers now. And so first of all, I'll introduce myself, because I think on the program it says Sally from AFE was supposed to speak. I'm Dalia from jim.me. It's a different project, part of the Goethe Institute. I mean, it's a project of the Goethe Institute, and it's an Arabic language website that focuses on gender, sex, and sexuality issues from the region. And we're gonna jump around, but we're gonna have different perspectives. We're gonna have a perspective from Article 19 based on research they've done, and they're about to issue a report soon. I'll leave it for Ali from Article 19, who's gonna talk to us about the research that they've conducted in 5 different countries across the region of hate speech, particularly hate speech, targeting LGBTQ communities and women. Then we're going to hear from John, who's here on behalf of SMEX. They did research as well, but related to LGBTQ persons and focused in Lebanon, and women, sorry. Focused on Lebanon and from a very much like privacy perspective. And then finally, we're gonna bridge the offline and the online world with Harass Tracker. Who's heard of it here? Okay, have you heard of Harass Map from Egypt? It's quite similar concept, and I mean, I will stop here, and Nay will talk more about that and how we can use certain technologies to map out various like harassment that happens in the sort of offline or offline world or on the street, and how there's like a link between offline and online. So we started with definitions, and I had this conversation with Ali earlier about, you know, like, as Caroline said, there are so many different definitions for different platforms, but there are also different definitions of how we approach like online harassment, or how people define online harassment, but particularly hate speech. So I'm gonna let Ali explain Article 19's position on that.
Yeah, مساء الخير, good afternoon. So, if you remember, like in 2001, after the September 11, everyone started talking about terrorism, and every country started to have their own definition of terrorism. Now the same is similarly for hate speech. So similar to terrorism is getting hate speech getting like more for a politically charged term, and currently countries are starting using hate speech against freedom of expression and criminalizing hate speech for them. By that, they're trying to limit more of freedom of expression in their own terms. So, like for example, in the last 2 days so far, probably I've heard the word hate speech or وخطابات الكراهية like around at least 20 times. So now everyone have their own definition for it. For us, as Article 19, we have came up with a definition, since there is like a global confusion on this term, and it's mainly based on the international human rights law, where I mean in the international human rights law there is no definition for hate speech. So deriving from them, and especially the ICCPR, which is the International Convent on Civil and Political Rights, so we have derived the definition based on that. So for us, there is like it's like a 4-tier pyramid. I'm not gonna go in depth about it. I'm just gonna be very brief about it. So it's like a 4-tier pyramid tier, 4 tiers of it. Some of the hate speech that could be considered hate speech is for us is protected by the freedom of expression, mainly under the Article 19 of the ICCPR. For example, like blasphemy is considered in some countries hate speech, but it is protected by the freedom of expression. Another hate speech, what's considered hate speech, is could be restricted according to the Article 19, paragraph 3 in the ICCPR, which is mainly restricting hate speech to protect the right or reputation of others or national security. This could be interpreted by many countries their own way, but again, since most of the countries have signed the ICCPR, so they should be working by that. Another tier of hate speech that may be restricted or must be restricted, mainly which is advocacy for incitement and discrimination for harm. The advocacy for it, not inciting per se, and that must be restricted or may be restricted depending on the situation, and that protected by Article 20, Paragraph 2 in the ICCPR. And hate speech that, I'm sorry, I'm boring you a little bit, but just to be, to cover the basics of the hate speech definition for us, incitement to genocide, that must definitely be restricted hate speech. So anything that incitement for a genocide definitely is a hate speech. And that is covered legally by the Genocide Convention and Rome Statute. So again, sorry for boring you with the definition, but just to cover the basics of what we consider as Article 19 hate speech. Also, a big part in hate speech is power dynamics. So power dynamics is a big part of hate speech. For say, a regular citizen inciting, that could be maybe restricted hate speech, but if a regular citizen is inciting for genocide, that probably have zero effect. But if a political leader, a politician, a president, or a tribe leader is inciting, and that person has influence and the power dynamics for him or for her, that considered hate speech, and that must be restricted. So yeah, that's Article 19's definition on hate speech. Dalia?
Well, maybe you want to talk a little bit, move on, like, yeah, talk a little bit what you were doing and like
Yeah.
the methodology.
So around December 2017, we started to work on a MENA-based research on hate speech towards LGBT community. As Article 19, we already have done this in Western Europe and Eastern Europe for every time 5 different countries. This time we have worked on Lebanon, Egypt, Tunis, Morocco, and Gulf, because we try to have some geographical representation from all the MENA countries, different geographical locations. So we have commissioned six researchers from the region who are from LGBT organizations from the region, so we can have grassroots interpretation of the situation, not just international researchers. So we have trained them on, I'm talking about the methodology, so we have trained them on hate speech for a few days, and we have started the work on hate speech, and mainly we have chose around 20 media and social media outlets in each of the countries, and we have monitored their behavior between 2001, 2011, and 2017. So every finding in the report is covered between 2011 and 2017, and in each of the we have chose for every country 3 case studies. Okay, and we have chose these countries because all of these countries have signed the ICCPR and they have ratified it, so that's why we have chosen those countries. In Lebanon and Tunis and Morocco, they explicitly decriminalize same-sex relationships, and implicitly in Egypt and Bahrain, where they consider it as prostitution. So some of the findings that we had. Sorry. Better now? Sorry. Okay. So some of the findings I found that were the policy making in these countries mainly are done by cisgender people, and they are men for sure. Again, there is a legal discrimination against LGBTQ communities. They assume it's an illness. They see it as a Western import. It's a national threat. Probably most of these findings you might know it, but it's better to have them recorded in a report. Also, there is hate speech, it's gender-based and it's misogynist. So maybe female LGBTQ or those who identify as females LGBTQ people who face more hate speech than men or those who identify as male. Also, in case there was any media coverage, it was sparse. In case that sparse space have been found, it has mainly negative, and usually they get people from the LGBT community, get them on shows and start ridiculing them on air, and mainly they get religious figures and start debating them, and usually it's a bad scene on TV. So that incites more hate speech. Also, we have found, in case there is some of that media coverage, very rarely it is positive. For example, in Tunis, there is Shams Rad. In Lebanon, some papers have written progressively about LGBTQ population. I'm gonna for now, that's fine for me. Okay. No, I'm gonna continue later on. Later on. Okay.
John, take it away.
Hi. So with SMAX, we worked on a project that was commissioned by Privacy International, and you can find it. The reports are over there, actually. It's called Online Privacy Threats to Women and LGBTQI Communities in Lebanon. And I'm gonna go over a little bit what the project was and what our methodology was. So basically, we wanted to have a survey of the kinds of threats that women and the LGBTQI community are exposed to in Lebanon specifically, and what these threats are, whether they perceive them as threats, how they deal with them, how the organizations that are tasked to advocate and care for these communities, how they perceive these threats. And so basically we wanted to have a baseline report that gives a qualitative analysis of the landscape. And so what we did was, first of all, there was a lot of desk research. We cataloged documented reports of online privacy breaches against women and the LGBTQI community in Arabic and English media for the past 5 years, since 2013. And when we went into that, we kind of knew that a lot of cases would be either underreported or not reported. Unsurprisingly, I think none of the cases included LGBTQI communities. If I'm not mistaken, 14 cases were about the victims were women, identified as women, and 8 identified as men. And so going from there, we interviewed 6 representatives of organizations in Lebanon that deal with these communities as well. The organizations were Hilm, International Medical Corps, CAFA, 2 representatives from AFE, and I'm sorry, I forgot if I missed anyone. No, I think that's it. Yes, that's it. That's it. And we asked them the same questions basically, and we compiled their answers, and from there we wrote the report, which I invite you to take on your way out. What else?
Maybe before we jump in to Nez, I just wanted to ask 2 questions. One is, you mentioned, when we talked earlier, you mentioned like legal authorities, and you mentioned as well like policy-wise. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how authorities have approached this, and maybe afterwards we could talk about once Nez done. We'll talk a bit about like what types of attacks, because you've mapped it in case studies. So maybe just talk a little bit about the legal aspect or policy aspect.
All right. Do you want to start? So basically, a lot of factors contribute to. Let me start a bit somewhere else. Almost every day, there's a case of sextortion reported to the ISL, القوى الأمن, and to the extent that they've actually issued a warning, but their warning was a bit problematic because it asked the victims not to put themselves in situations where they would get sextorted or blackmailed. mostly like be careful what you do online, don't send out pictures of yourself. And the implication here is that if you do that, then you kind of deserve what's happening to you, which is very, I think it's problematic. But the point is that there are a lot of these cases that get reported to the police. A lot of them don't get reported. The LGBTQI community, and this is how we get to the authorities and the legal aspect of it. If you belong to the LGBTQI community, then you are technically illegal. It's criminalized. So you cannot go to the police and tell them I'm being blackmailed for being LGBTQI, because they don't even care. Like you might get arrested on the spot. By the way, there was no consensus that that's true. Like it depends. It's very archaic. It depends on the policeman who's seeing you. It depends on which judge is trying you. So all of these things affect it. When it comes to women, we have a confessional system. Women do not, like the same laws do not apply to all women. Field personal status laws that are specific to every confession. And so you have a system where women aren't equal in front of the law. They have different sets of laws and traditions that apply to their issues. And this is also a big problem because once again, it depends on who's dealing with your case. And so the point I'm trying to get to is that there's no resort to the law. Like it's the last place you would go to if you're a victim of online privacy breaches, if you're a woman or a member of the LGBTQI community. So the criminals who do these things, who commit these acts, they know that. I mean, they know you're unprotected. They know you're vulnerable. And that really encourages these things to happen more often. And also I would like to make one more point that there are vulnerable communities within these communities like migrant domestic workers and refugees, foreigners like Syrians, Palestinians in Lebanon, even Egyptians, workers. There are class issues that are involved in this. So yeah, that's basically what I want to say.
I don't know, Ali, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I want to add, like, for example, since in these countries that we had the report on, since they see that being a member of an LGBT community is a Western imports and illness and so forth, so media takes the lead on that and start helping the government and helping the religious community to criminalize LGBT community members, and they, for example, the case in Egypt after the مشروع ليلى, the Rainbow, the concert. So Egyptian media kept on inciting on killing those gays, killing those LGBT members, killing those, sorry for using triggers.
Yeah, no, but it's worth noting that in Arabic, most of the Egyptian mainstream media that were pro-government, pro-regime, used a specific word called shawaz, which is like a derogatory term. Deviance, basically. Deviance. But I mean, yeah, so it's just worth noting the language, Yeah,
so I wanted to continue after John's, because now what is on media is reflected on social media. So they are interconnected. So whatever is happening on media, probably there is no direct action, whatever a report has, like in physical space, but any report that is on LGBTQ, we have like in our report we have monitored the action goes online, and if someone is trying to advocate for LGBTQ rights, or you need to see the comments, you need to see the hate speech there, incitement. A few days ago I shared something on Facebook that LGBT is not a crime, and you can see not myself but other people have shared with me such stories, like you can see the incitement, the hate speech on them, just advocating or saying it's not a crime. So when we go to, again, back to Egypt and the rainbow flag issue, the media state, the state-sponsored media on and on for days and days and days and days. Probably people from Egypt can talk more about this. I don't want to hijack the cause, so so they keep on.
About it.
Yeah. So, and that have made the LGBT, whatever it was on social media and media, have made LGBTQ member community there in Egypt in a very dangerous position. They have started, because they saw there is a huge support for the government for these raids, what happened there. So they started raiding more, trying to get more people, and they started to jail more people because they saw there is momentum for that. And that put, again, the members of the community in a very dangerous position, and some of them had to flee the country based on that. And for example, same in Bahrain. Since that issue is not very public in Bahrain, for example, in 2016, 26 people were having a pool party, and the police have raided them. They've put in jail, and probably no one would have known about it, but because a report on TV was there, the hate speech was there on social media, because of that report, the government have acted and want to do these raids and jailing. For Bahraini were jailed or prosecuted, and for non-Bahraini they were deported.
So basically, like legally speaking, it's quite in some countries or many countries, like it's like the LGBTQIA community is criminalized or the practices are criminalized. So they're not exactly sort of protected. Authorities aren't necessarily great at handling these situations, but also in some cases mainstream media also supports government or legal stuff. We'll get to questions in a second, because I want to make sure that Nai gets a chance to talk about Harass Tracker, because you were talking about also you're in some trying to engage as well with the authorities here, and I think it's interesting to get your perspective, because you have brought the sort of offline harassment online in a sense, and in many cases, online harassment is there's a continuation between offline and online. There's this connection that happens that we can't always necessarily sort of say, okay, online harassment stays online, and we assume it's different offline or vice versa. So I think it's great to have a perspective of Harass Tracker, so take it away.
Hi. أنا رح أحكي بالعربي. I'm going to speak in Arabic. So those of you who don't understand Arabic, if a second to put that. كتير لفتني إنه لما بلشنا نحكي عن قوانين وما في قوانين بتحكم الأونلاين سفير أو المجال الإلكتروني. بتخيل نحن واحدة من أسباب ليش أول شيء هراس تراكر أو متعاقب تحرش، مثل ما عم جرب خليكم تشوفوا، هو بورتال أونلاين بيسمح للعالم تبلغ عن التحرش الجنسي بشكل مجهول أونلاين. الفكرة كانت ما كنت عم تقول داليا إنه عم نجرب ننقل شوي الاعتداءات أو التعديات اللي بتصير أوفلاين، يعني بالعالم الحقيقي الحسي، مش عم أقول أونلاين منه حقيقي، بس العالم المحسوس، يعني لا مجال مرئي أكتر بركي، لا فضاء أوسع شوي. كتير لفتني إنه صار لنا نحن سنتين عم نشتغل على الموضوع، والسنة الماضية بلش هراس تراكر بال 2016 يعني، وبال 2017 اشتغلنا على ريسيرش صغير مع الجامعة الأمريكية ببيروت، وين جربنا نفهم كيف العالم بتفهم التحرش، حتى نشوف إذا في جدوى من إنه في هيك شيء موجود. بركي العالم ما تحس إنه في إشكالية التحرش بلبنان، بركي ما تحس إنه بركي في إشكالية، بس ما في حاجة لأداة مثل هيدي. لما عملنا هيدا البحث فكرنا كمان انه مجدي انه نطلع بتوصيات باخر هذا البحث، مستندين على مش بس الاشياء اللي طلعت معنا بالبحث، بس كمان على اللي كان صار لنا سنه وشوي من جمعوا على هيدي الخريطه. ولفتني كتير بالحديث اللي كان عم بيحكيه جوناثان، وكان شوي عم بدور حول انه هل في قوانين، هل في سياسات، وشو الشرائع اللي بتحكم هاي التعديات، وين الناس بتروح كرمال العداله بهدول القضايا. وكتير معروف انه نحن بدولنا مستلمين ارث كولونيالي سيء جدا بهذا المكان. unfortunately لسوء الحظ انه ما اشتغلنا عليه نحن كمواطنين والناس اللي بالحكم عنا ما جددوا فيهم، فبعده مثل ما هو بعده قاصر كتير عن انه يحكي عن كل شيء كقانون كقانون بيحفظ حقوقه هيك. بس واحدة من اسباب ليش نحن قررنا انه هيدا الشيء مجدي كأداة هو اولا انه في نوع عدالة معين ناقص عند الناس اللي بتتعرض لتعديات، اذا كانت اوفلاين ولا اونلاين ولا وين ما كان، لانه هي مثل ما كنت عم تقول داليا هي استمراريه، انه نوع التعديات اللي ناتجه عن تفاوت بالسلطه هي اونلاين وبرات الاونلاين، اكيد مع كل فضاء له الخاصيه تبعه. بس حسينا انه لما نحكي عن قوانين في افتراض انه نحن بنوثق بالناس اللي بتطبق القوانين، وهذا الشيء ببلدنا على القليله، ما بدي احكي عن البلدان العربيه، عم بحكي عن لبنان، ما انه موجود. ما في ثقه لا القانون كمنظومه، ولانه طبعا القانون ذكوري وكاره للنساء وكلنا بنقدر نشوف هذا الشيء، اذا بدنا حديث ثاني انه نقعد نشرح بقانون العقوبات عنا او بالمشرع بذهنيه المشرع عنا. بس كمان ما بنوثق بالناس يلي بتطبقوا، لانه مثل ما يا ريت في بس فرجيكم مثلا هيدي واحدة من الاشياء يلي مبينت عنا من الفنار. اوكي هلا هيدي الكومبلينت بالعربي، بس الهدف من اني عم فرجيكم اياها لإلكم انه في كتير examples، في كتير امثله من هذا النوع وين الناس عم يتشكوا على عناصر قوى امن داخلي او على جيش او على ناس مناط فيها الحمايه والامن وكل هدول، وهول الناس يلي بالاخر انه رح نروح نتشكى عندهم اذا بده يكون في قانون يساعدنا كنساء او مجموعات بدها تتشكى على بتصيبها هدول القصص. بدنا نروح لعند هول العالم اللي هن بالدرجه الاولى اذا مش متحرشين مينيموم بصفوا مع المتحرش، انه ما بيلاقوا انه هن بالدرجه الاولى من اكثر العالم المطبعين مع التحرش كاعتداء يعني. فلما نحكي بقانون ولازم يكون في قانون حتى العالم تلجأ له، عم نفترض انه في ثقه بالقانون وفي اصلا تطبيق للقانون على كل العالم بشكل متساوي اللي هو منه موجود، وفي ثقه بالجهات اللي بتطبق اللي ثلاثتهم منهم موجودين. فبالنسبه لنا واحدة من الأهداف كانت إنه هيدي الفيزيبيليتي اللي عم بتجيبها أداة مثل خريطة أونلاين للاعتداءات اللي عم بتصير أوفلاين اللي ما حدا بيشوفها إلا يمكن الشخص اللي بيعيشها والعالم اللي حده مينيموم إلا إذا قرروا ما يشوفوا يعني. هيدي الفيزيبيليتي هي نوع من ما بحب سميها بركي عدالة، بس هي نوع من رد من حدا عم بيقول انه نحن هذا الشيء موجود، واول خطوه باتجاه كسر التطبيع معه هو انه نفرجيه. وبالنسبه لنا كهراس تراكر اهدافنا بالمدى الابعد شوي هو انه نقدر نجمع هيدول المعلومات اللي عم يجوا بشكل انونيمس على هيدا البورتال، انه نقدر نستعملهم لنروح فيهم عند الجهات المعنيه، وبلشنا اوريدي. وبالتوصيات اللي اخذناهم لعند قوى الامن الداخلي مثلا كان في كتير جربنا قد ما فينا نوصي اشياء لها علاقه بالتحرش من افراد قوى امن داخلي، مش انه انتم شو بدكم تعملوا ان جنرال لتحلوا هذا الموضوع، انتم كاجهزه مناط فيهم الحمايه ودوله وكل هدول شو فيكم تعملوا لتخففوا انتم تحرش بالناس. ومن اهم الاشياء اللي طلعت عنا انه يفعلوا بركي عندهم هن تطبيق اسمه بلغ اللي هو خاص فيهم، يعني اللي هو المواطن اللي عم يتشكى من عنصر بيقدر يروح يعبي هيدا الفورم اللي هو فورم كتير صغير. طبعا ما بدنا نفوت بمشاكل اشكاليات الخصوصية واشكاليات السيفتي كلها سوا اللي بتجي معها، بس حتى هيدا الفورم منه مفعل، وحتى هيدا الفورم ماكسيموم فيه كنت عم بتشكى على سرقة على نشل على ما في شيء له علاقة لا بالنوع الاجتماعي ولا بالجنسية ولا بالتعديات ولا بشيء غير انه منه مفعل وما حدا ما حدا بيتابع فيه، يعني نسبة المتابعة تبع هدول الشكاوى عم بتكون كتير ضئيلة بالنسبة لقد ايه معقول نحن نفكر انه نتشكى عليه. فهيدي وحده من
تطبيق ولا الناس يعني
في ويب سايت وفي تطبيق، يعني اذا كنت كثير طموحه ونزلت التطبيق على تليفونك تقدر تستعمليه. فهيدي وحده من الاشياء يلي نحن جربنا. فينا ننكت على الموضوع اذا بدكم.
لا
مجال مفتوح للتنكت.
نو انا ليش عم بسال؟ لانه في بحث عملوه انترنت، مشروع اسمه انترنت ديموكراسي في الهند، اللي هو درس السيفتي ابس اللي بيستخدموها في الهند. فهو يعني ذكرتيني فيه، لانه بتخيل هم درسوا كيف اول شيء من وين مين اللي بيعمل هاي التطبيقات اللي هي موجودة على التليفون. ولأنه في حالات كثير من الاغتصاب والأسالتس اللي بتصير في الهند، ففي كثير من الشركات والشرطة في الهند بتعمل تطبيقات. يعني مثلا شرطة نيو دالي عندهم تطبيق خاص إلهم، والناس تقدر تقدم صور وفيديوهات وأشياء لحالات تحرش أو أسالت، أو يعني إنه اعتداءات اللي بتصير. بس هم درسوها من ناحية إنه قديش من البيانات اللي إحنا إذا بنستخدم هذا التطبيق قاعدين بنوفره لهاي الجهات، إن كان شركات خاصة أو أو هون وزارة الداخلية أو الأمن العام أو يعني بلاش نصور هذا الشيء anyway. anyway بس بحب انه اذا اللي معني بهاي الاشياء ممكن تروح على انترنت ديموكراسي بروجكت و you can find that research، يعني موجود عندهم. سوري انا قطعتك، بس بعرفش اذا في شيء ثاني
بهذا السياق. ما في عندي اكثر من اللي قلته هلا بسياق الحديث عن القوانين والعداله ونحن شو عم نجرب نعمل بهالاتجاه. بس كتير كمان مهم بركي وضح انه نحن، انا مش عم اقول انه هراس تراكر ما عم بيقول انه نحن ما بدنا قانون للتحرش الجنسي او هول القوانين كلها باليه وما لها طعمه. بس بعتقد اللي عم نجرب نقوله انه في كتير خطوات بتسبق انه نهجم بكل طاقتنا ونبلش نعمل لوبينج على المشرع انه عمول قانون بالوقت يلي في كتير خلط وسوء فهم واشياء فايته ببعضها عند كتير ناس بالنسبه لشو يعني تحرش. فمين بدكم يستعمل هالقانون اذا فرضنا انه فجاه ساحر صرنا نوثق بالمشرع وبالدوله وبقوى الامن وكلهم وبلغنا بريتس عاليه وخلصت الاستجما وما بقى في شيء؟ كيف عم نفهم هذا الشيء المفروض نبلغ عنه؟ هيدا شيء انيشيتيفز او مبادرات مثل هراس تراكر عم بتجرب تدفش باتجاه انه نعمل هدول الاحاديث، انه تعالوا نحكي شو بنقصد لما نقول تحرش جنسي، شو بنقصد لما نقول اعتداء جنسي، وشو الفرق بين هاي وهاي وهاي. هل كل الناس اللي عم بيصير عليها عم يتم التحرش فيها بالشارع عارفه شو عم بيصير معها، ولا نحن we've normalized it to the point يعني طبعنا معها لدرجة وين صرنا انه نحسها جزء من يومياتنا يلي ما في داعي بقى نحكي عنه. فقبل ما نهجم نطحش عن قانون لازم نطحش على الدويرات المسكرة يلي اوفلاين، بركي مدارس، بركي جامعات، بركي عالم منهم كتير into the online world، لنفهم لنتحدث معهم على كيف بنفهم الموافقة، كيف بنفهم الحدود، كيف بنفهم التحرش، التعدي. قعدة بحضن عمه وعمه ما بعرف شو عمل معي، انه بركي انا بعتبر هذا الشيء عادي بس بركي هو منه عادي. فهودي اشياء كلها بيصير نحكي فيها قبل ما نعمل لوبينج على اي قانون باي مطرح. انا برايي
I'll switch back to English, but you talked about sort of certain definitions or the differences between like sexual harassment and assault and where it begins and it's very similar when it comes to online harassment. And, you know, we started with this conversation of like the different platforms, different attacks, and also, you know, and if there's any sort of legal or policy shifts when it comes to that. And particularly here, I don't know of many, like there's like a cybercrime unit here, but the way, you know, I can, yeah, exactly, like, you know, this is the reaction usually, oh, what are they going to do? They're not going to help me. It's similar actually in Palestine. I know of a number of cases where women have been, they've like they face some extortion, some form of extortion because of non-consensual image sharing or blackmailing, and they've either been scared of going to the authorities because this is such a sensitive topic to, and the other is that when they do, the police sometimes in some cases catch the person, but there's no legal sort of framework to deal with these situations. So it varies, but I don't want to fixate on the law and the policy. I also want to talk about other stuff, and I want to open it up to questions. I know you had a question for a while, so I'll hand over the mic.
اوكي مبدئيا انا اسمي دينا، انا بشتغل في مؤسسه مساحات للتعدديه الجنسيه والجندريه على مصر والسودان. مساحات هاي علي. هي actually مجموعه من الاسئله طرقت شويه. انا كمان مجال بحثي في الجندر واشتغلت بالاساس على السايبر فايلنس، ف I have a little bit of lots of questions يعني. اول حاجه هي افتكر السؤال بالاساس هيبقى السماكس وارتكل 19 ليه دعوه بالوسائل الدفاعيه اللي الاشخاص لجأوا ليها خارج اطار البلاغ القانوني، لان مثلا في سياق مصر الوسائل الدفاعيه اللي الاشخاص اللي وقعوا ليها او السرفايفرز او الاشخاص اللي وقعوا للتعنيف او للهيت سبيتش استخدموها ماشي خارج اطار بقى السياق القانوني وان هم يبلغوا الكلام ده ماشي. تاني حاجة I'm taking a little bit of a step back كده of like I need a clarification on what exactly are the things within فكرة ال hate speech. Is it something that are declared ولا not necessarily the undeclared behaviors؟ يعني في حاجات حصلت أنا حاسة إن السياق المعظم اللي بيتكلم فيه except for harass tracker بيتكلم شوية عن the state versus the LGBT and women thingy. However في قطاع كبير جدا من ال violations بتحصل between individuals and each others. اوكي فمثلا على سبيل المثال يعني في اطار الريسيرش على الاقل او الرساله يعني اللي انا كنت بعملها حاجات كتير حصلت related to لما حصل outing للاشخاص اهاليهم قرروا انهم ياخدوا measurements ليها دعوه بان هم يحطوا tracking devices مثلا tracking softwares على اجهزه العيال، كان ما ينفعش يتحركوا في الكامبس غير ما يكون اهلهم عارفين هم فين. فدي حاجه. تاني حاجه هل في مجال ان احنا نتكلم كمان عن مش بس السياق of المجتمع versus او الهيت سبيتش اللي بتمارس من خلال المجتمع تجاه ال LGBTIQ and especially the LGBTIQ++. هل ممكن ان احنا كمان نتكلم عن what is academically called the Manichean theory، فكرة ان ازاي ان بيعاد ترتيل نفس خطابات الكراهية within the community within the LGBTIQ community. sorry okay. هل في اطروحات تانية غير الليجل ailment غير انه يكون في طرح قانوني او حلول قانونية؟
لا it's okay بس لانه في هو بدي اخذ كمان اسئله بس يمكن عشان في عده اسئله صارت مطروحه فرح افتح المجال انه تجاوبوا عليها وبعدين نرجع ناخذ عده اسئله ثانيه. اوكي
شكرا دينا. Thanks Dina. By the way, Masahad was part of the report that was conducted as long as AFE, journalists from Bahrain, the Union Feminist Movement in Morocco, and two organizations in Tunis, دمج وشمس. لا مش شمس. دمج موجودين sorry. So all of these, the report was also يعني Masahad was part of it. ما هي وسائل الدفاعية الأشخاص Okay, I'm gonna talk about violations between people. Probably I'll keep the other one for John. As I said before, power dynamics is very important. So let's say between two people, if a male have incited to kill a woman, probably that would happen. But it's vice versa, it would not happen. So the power dynamics of hate speech is very important. So, and the way to counter it for us, other than legal aid, is creating more positive speech. So for us, restricting hate speech, for us challenging hate speech is through opening more spaces to have positive speech and have more speech. So for us, it's a principle of freedom of expression for us. If we restrict hate speech, governments might use this to restrict any freedom of expression or any free speech. So having more speech to counter it in a positive way through media, through meetings, through many other forms, having more speech to promote the rights of LGBT community, to at least ask LGBT community how they see, how we can challenge it is very, very important.
So, first, I want to talk about like inter-citizen, مش state citizen, between people actually, and that kind of, the third question kind of goes within that of how oppressed communities unfortunately reproduce the oppression that they are subjected to against members of their own communities. And that's something that's very rampant in the LGBTQ community according to the different sources we spoke to. For example, the amount of shaming that مثلا gay men or transgender men or bi men or anyone from that community who uses dating apps, they are exposed to a huge amount of shaming from members of their own communities because according to those members, these men don't abide to what a man should look like or behave, or like what I'm trying to say is that patriarchal norms and values, like the LGBTQ community is not immune to those. They reproduce them and they shame other gay men, who don't behave in a way that they think men should behave. Transgenders are more than just harassed on LGBTQ dating apps. I had one more point about that. No, go ahead. Yeah, within that, مثلا كمان one more thing that within the community, HIV statuses. Like one big thing that a lot of gay men face, mostly gay men, is blackmail because they trusted someone with their HIV status or someone found out and they get blackmailed for that, and this has even more dangerous consequences for these people. Another thing that has to do with people but outside of the community is في the vigilante citizen, مثل a page on Facebook that's very famous in Lebanon called وينية الدولة. وينية الدولة. It's a page on Facebook. The owner has a pseudonym, Sami something I think. And this page basically allows citizens to track down things that they believe are immoral or illegal. And they resort to doxing. For example, it's not uncommon to see a picture of a transgender walking down the street, published on the page with the full name of the individual, and accusations, false accusations or assumptions about prostitution, pedophilia, immorality, whatever crime they can just like associate with that. And the most dangerous thing about this page is that it has ties with the government, with the ISF. So the ISF kind of relies on this page to report these things that it considers immoral. And that's not how justice works. Like, you don't claim that someone is guilty, shame them in public, show everyone why you think they're guilty, and then let the public decide if they are. Like, that's a perversion of justice. Even justice according to these wrong laws, that's still not justice. What was your first question about how they can resort to means beyond outside of the law? Yes, one representative even mentioned something called ethical hacking, which is one way that you could deal with, a controversial way to deal with this, but hacking into the devices of the person who's blackmailing you or sextorting you to retrieve the piece that they're using. Of course, it is controversial, but I think it answers your question. I don't honestly like. There was a debate when that came up, and I was like, but you're kind of using their tools against them. What you're criticizing, you're using against them, and I think that's really up for debate.
No, it's not ethical. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're still technically, like, I think you're still breaching someone's privacy. But the person insisted that it's only for the purpose of retrieving said piece of evidence and making the victim safe, like ensuring the safety of the victim, not for using other things as leverage. That's you're somewhere else now when you start doing that.
I think that can turn into a very long conversation. But it's a very interesting one, and one that's like people continue to like talk about this and discuss the ethics and and also tactics of how to respond to that.
I just want to add to what John said about gay men and HIV test. One of the findings of the report is there is a huge discrimination against LGBT community. Like it's like bridging online what's happening offline. Discrimination regarding housing, employment, healthcare access, and access to justice. So this is also one of the findings. So these people who were outed or known as LGBTQ community, and they have faced smearing campaign or hate speech on social media, when they go back to the real life after dealing with their traumas, they really find it extremely difficult on finding job, finding houses, accessing healthcare. And also there is a report by Mosaic, it was recently published, and Grindr, qualitatively and the numbers, how these mainly I think it was on Grindr, so mainly gay men, how they are affected regarding housing and access to healthcare.
Yeah, okay. We'll take another round of questions. If we can limit it to just one or two questions, please. So so we'll do this, and then way in the back, and then we'll have a chance. We'll give the panelists a chance to answer.
مانيش باش نطول بريفمون. أنا عندي I want to share an experience with you وبعد عندي سؤال في علاقة بالماب. En fait في 25 أوت 2018 عن غير قصد تم we launched a campaign عن غير قصد اسمها it was like this اسمها والشمولي بالسيف. The Tunisian dialect معناها they make it tattoo رغما عني. I know that الاسم ماهوش ياسر innovative but خاطر هي أصلا كانت عن غير قصد. لقينا رواحنا we shared experience على harassment. بعد بشوية لقيت الناس تبعث لي على صراحة، كان صراحة هو مش سيف I know عشان قلت له مش بالعاني في حركات قصص التحرش والهراسمنت اللي صارت لها. لقينا بعد شهر لقيت روحي عندي آلاف الحكايات داتا متاع حكايات، ولكن مش عارفين شو نعمل بهم. يعني شخصيا مش عارفه شو نعمل به. فلانه في النهاية من مهم على الآخر sharing الاكسبيرينس من أجل الحد من التطبيع معه، من أجل إنه النساء هذه تعرف إنه هذاك harassment وراه اللي فما حاجة تصير لنا يوميا إحنا مش عارفين اللي هي. لكن بالنسبة لي أنا الأهم إنه نعملوا حاجة. ممكن أنا براغماتية شوي في مخي، نعملوا حاجة فعلية we act. شنو الحاجات اللي نجموا نعملوهم بشهادات كيما هذه؟ شنو الاد فاليو اللي نجموا نزيدوه في شهادات كيما هذه؟ وجوست السؤال الاخر، هل انه كان راه الماب هكا نخاف انه مثلا في البارت هذيك فما برشا اكت نتاع هراسمنت، فإن نخاف انه نساك تشوف ما تمشيش للبلاصه هذيك لانه باش تعمل اعتداء عليه، فندخل وقتها في مكان انه وي اوكوباي ذا سيفيك سبيس از وومن، المكان ان احنا نسحبوا لانه خايفين. فلانه فما حملات صارت من اجل حل مشاكل التحرش اللي تصير البرشا اللي تصير في منطقه معينه ولا في اخرى. That's it. Thank you.
First of all, I want to make my comment and say that I'm only here as an ally of the LGBTQ plus community. So if anything I say doesn't actually apply, please correct me. But observationally, what I can say about harassment is that basically it comes down to a lack of respect for boundaries. And it seems that there are certain power dynamics that we were mentioning earlier where there is a tendency to completely disregard boundaries of certain types of people. So my question is, in your work on harassment and reviewing that, has there been anything that you came across where there is a concerted effort to raise awareness and educate about the importance of respecting boundaries as a baseline for responding to harassment? Because harassment, whether it's online or whether it's in the tangible world, is always a violation of boundaries. So that's my question.
بس رح أسأل بالعربي بما أنه حكيت بالعربي. هلأ بوافق معك أنه مزبوط ما فينا نعمل قانون بدون ما نتفق على مفاهيم معينة أو definitions للتحرش، بس بنفس الوقت إذا الليجل بارت مش موجود، يعني إذا البارت القانوني مش موجود، ما في شيء يحمي، يعني ما في شيء نتكل عليه لنروح نبلغ. كل الداتا اللي بنجمعها أو هيدول البيانات اللي عم تطلع من الويب سايت أو من غير الويب سايت، حدا اللي عم بجرب يروح عند الرجال الأمن كانوا هن متعاونين معه أو مش متعاونين معه وما عنده شيء يتكل عليه ليعمل الكليم تبعه، يعني ما في شيء نتكل عليه. فبعتقد القانون حتى لو كان بدائي وبعدين بده يتطور، شيء أساسي لنقطة نبلش منها. والشغله الثانيه بالستوريز الموجودين على الويب سايت، يعني هلا بعرف ما عندكم كنترول على الناس كيف تحكي قصتها، كل واحد بيحكي قصته مثل ما بده وما في طريقه لنقرر شو بدهم يقولوا الناس. بس في اوقات بيكون في شيء مستفز، بمعنى انه في حدا عم ببلغ عن حاله تحرش بس بنفس الوقت بيعمل kind of hate speech تجاه كوميونتي او تجاه حدا تاني. يعني بتصير انه انا عم بقرا القصه بس عم حس مثلا انه هيدي is accusing a community بكاملها مش الشخص بحد ذاته. يعني هلا بتصير كثير بلبنان انه هلا ما عم بحكي عن قصه محدده لانه قريت كذا مره، انا دائما انه عم جرب تابع، بس انه اذا بتصير بلبنان انه هيدي الفكره تبع انه تحرش في لانه غريب وسوري وفلسطيني انه ما بعرف اذا في شي طريقه لتتجنبوا انه تصير بروايات الناس، مع انه بعرف ما عندكم كنترول على الموضوع. يعني
شو اسمك بس؟
صفا.
بحكي اوكي. من وين بدي بلش؟ اوكي سو شو بدنا نعمل كرمال القصص نعمل شيء كونكريت بالقصص؟ اوكي وهيدا بتخيل سؤال مربوط بوجوب وجود قانون او عدم وجوده، او شو بنعمل اذا ما في قانون. نحن بهراس تراكر كثير بنشتغل بمقاربه multi stakeholder approach. يعني كتير مهم مش انه نبطل نقول للبنت شو تعمل او للشخص شو يعمل لحتى يبطلوا يتحرشوا فيه، بس كمان ايكولي مهم انه نخفف ضغط على انه هو لازم يوقف تحرش، الصبي لازم يوقف تحرش ولازم ينحط بالحبس ولازم ينقال له لا ولازم. الحل هو انه هيدي القضيه يطلعوا عليها جمعيا، كل العالم عندها دور بالمجتمع انه تتخفف التحرش. مشان هيك نحن توصياتنا اللي نابعه عن هدول القصص رايحين لكتير عالم، رايحين للاعلام، رايحين لنقابة السواقين العموميين، لأنه بصير كتير تحرش بالتاكسيات وبالباصز وبالفانات، وهيدا ما بحله قانون، هيدا بحله تروح تحكي مع حدا انفلونشال بقلب هذا المحل، ينحط آلية معينة، ينحط ميكانيزم ليبلشوا يستوعبوا العالم إنه في شيء ممنوع تعمله، قبل ما حدا يتشكى عليه وياخده عند الدركه اللي ما بعرف شو معقول يعمل فيه لانه سوري او لانه فلسطيني او لانه فقير او لانه جاي من حي شعبي. لازم يستوعبوا العالم بكل سيكتورز بالحياه، بالمطاعم، بالتاكسيات، وزاره الداخليه، قوى الامن الداخلي، الاعلام، لما يبلش يحكي عن انه هيدا الغريب اغتصب البنت وقتلها، لو ما في غرب بهيدي الضيعه ما كانت ماتت مثلا. اللي عم جرب اقوله هو انه في كتير اشياء تنعمل غير انه نحط القصص برا. بفكره انه عم نحط القصص برا وعم نقول للناس انه في مسؤوليه مجتمعيه عامه على كلكم، مش على الزلمه اللي بده يوقف، مش على الاهل اللي بدهم يربوا الصبي ما يتحرش، على كل العالم اللي بتشوف قدامها وهن اعضاء بمؤسسات واعضاء بنقابات واعضاء بكولكتيفز اكبر، انه يعملوا شيء يمأسسوا هاي المقاومة للتحرش. يعني مثلا نحن اللي جربنا نعمله بهدول القصص، طلعنا على ثيمز، طلعنا انه يا عمي في كتير قصص بتصير لانه في شوارع مش مضوية. as simple as that. وين وزارة الداخلية والبلديات كلها؟ يعني تطلع على المطارح اللي فيها شوارع مطفية بوقت مش طبيعي ومش معقول، عم تدخل ومخارج جامعات الساعة 7 بعد الظهر عشية 7 عشية بالشتوية ما في ضوء بلدية. طب ما هو اشياء ما عم نقول التحرش بينحل لوجستيا، عم نقول انه في مسؤوليات كبيره بتنحل بخطوات صغيره كتير، مثل انه اسيوم المسؤوليه انه تضووا الشارع، اسيوم مسؤوليه انه هيدا البيفمنت المكسور حد حرش بيروت زبطوا حتى ما العالم تمشي بين السيارات مثلا، ويسهل على حدا يلحق حدا بالسياره اذا الشخص ماشي. هالقصص اللي عم بتصير بالمطارح بالمطاعم، وبيدعوا اصحاب المطاعم انه احنا ما خصنا، بلا خصكم. يعني اول خطوه انه بدكم تقولوا للناس اللي انت كحدا عندك مسؤوليه، حاسه انه عندك مسؤوليه تجاه هالقصص وتجاه الناجيات او الناس اللي او الناجيات والناجين اللي بيحكوا هدول القصص، فيك تبلشي من هون، طلعي وين عم بيصيروا احداث التحرش وشوفي السورس تبعهم. ايه في مطاعم ونقابه اصحاب مطاعم واوتيلات وهول العالم بدهم ياخذوا مسؤوليتهم، بدهم يشدوا حالهم ويحطوا آلية جوا للتبليغ عن هالقصص. بس دقيقة، في شغلة كمان لها علاقة بالإعلام. هيدي ردا على سؤال صفا على الغريب. اوكي اكيد لازم يصير في قانون، وما حدا قال ما لازم يصير في قانون، بس بالاول في نوع من تربيه، اعاده تربيه لهالعالم يلي عندهم مسؤوليه كتير كبيره وعندهم بلاتفورمز كتير كبار مثل التلفزيونات والراديوات والسوشيال ميديا ووينيه الدوله وهالصفحات كلهم. هول العالم في توصيات لهم كمان، يعني في كتير اشياء لازم ينحكوها، مثل انه التحرش فيه يعملوا اللبناني كمان، مش بس اللبناني، الدرك اللبناني كمان فيه يتحرش، الجيش اللبناني فيه يتحرش، مع العلم انه هذا الحديث رح يستفز كثير عالم. بس من هون بدك تبلشي، مش عم اقول انه لازم، ما عم بعطي حل نموذجي ايديال ما بيصير الا بعد 100 سنه، لحظه بس، عم بعطي حل كثير كونكريت بعتقد وكثير واقعي، انه هيدي اذا نحن بدنا نضل نوعظ ونقول مش مسؤوليه البنت تحمي حالها ولا مسؤوليه الصبي يتعلم لحاله يوقف، مسؤوليه الكل. يعني الناس اللي بتشوف انه عم بيصير تحرش قدامها، والناس اللي بتشوف تبليغ على الخريطه، وصارت مع الباك يارد بالحزميه، هلا ما بقدر الاقيه، بس بالباك يارد اللي هو مجمع بابز بالحزميه صار في تحرش بالباركينج، حطتها البنت اللي صارت معها تحرش على الخريطه، ونحن حطيناها على فيسبوك وعملنا تاج للباك يارد. ما في ساعه كانوا حاكينا، ما في ساعه انه طول الببليستي والاونلاين بلاتفورمز عندنا اياهم عم يعطونا ليفرج كثير قوي لحتى نقول لهم لكل الناس انه مش انه نحن وي ويل شيم يو اذا بتتحرشوا، نحن وي ويل شيم يور انستتيوشن وي ويل بويكوت يو، وبنخرب لكم البزنس تبعكم اذا ما بتستوعبوا انه في مسؤوليه لازم تاخذوها كلكم. واكيد منا قصه انه ما بقى تروحوا لهونيك، في اشياء وي كانت ايفن افورد نقول للعالم ما تروحوا، لانه هدول الطرقات بياخذوهم كل يوم على المدرسه وعلى الجامعه وعلى الشغل. الحل هو على طول انه في مسؤوليه عامه، ما في ولا مكان بلبنان ولا مساحه بلبنان امنه او ما بيصير فيها هيك شيء، بدها تصير وين ما كان. الحل مش تقولي للناس واحد وقفوا، بدك تقولي للمؤسسات ياخذوا جهود، يعملوا جهود جديه باتجاه مأسسة كسر التنميط، كسر نمطية التحرش او كسر التطبيع معه. بس شغلة أخيرة, so sorry, it's just one last time. On the point related to the boundaries, I don't think it's an issue of boundaries or an issue of people disrespecting boundaries. It's an issue of entitlement. It's even deeper than the fact that there are boundaries and people overstep them. The problem is that there's patriarchal male privilege everywhere, online and offline, and this needs to be broken. It doesn't start with you telling the guys, please respect my boundaries. It starts with institutions actually taking action towards this and like institutionally eradicating it. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to add to what. Yeah, I just want to add to what Naya was saying, that I'm not promoting for them, but for example, Careem and Uber are considered, I'm just saying in Lebanon, are more safe than service and public transportation because you can directly report the incident directly to the company, and there's economic implications on the driver if he or she because there is a mechanism, there is accountability, there is economic sanctions on them. They could be out of the system because there is reporting. So reporting is an important as initiative as harass tracker. Yeah.
You remind me of something that came up بالresearch. Sorry ما عرفت اسمك بس. ما عرفت اسمك sorry. اوكي basically شغله ما انا كثير relevant بس بدي اربطها بشيء قال كنت عم تقولي انه the harass tracker might discourage women from انه ياخذوا يروحوا على هول المحلات وبالتالي بتصغر السيف spaces يلي available لفئه من المجتمع. This came up actually وقت كنا عم نحكي مع AFE. They mentioned انه one of the biggest problems with the trans community in Lebanon هي انه بس يطلعوا على الشارع in public بيتعرضوا لمضايقات تحرش او بيسمعوا حكي او حتى مرات violence. So the human reaction to that is انه يتخبوا بيضلوا جوا بيظهروا بالليل على محلات بيعرفوا انه هن فيهم يكونوا سيف فيها. بس اللي عم بيصير هون صار عندك cycle of ما بقى في visibility لترانس people بالشارع. الناس ما عم تشوف بقى trans people. So بس يشوفوا trans person عم بيرجع يصير انه في هيدا الشوك وعم بيرجعوا يصيروا المضايقات عن جديد وفتنا بهيدا اللوب وربطناها شوي بشو عم بيصير اونلاين كمان. في عندي كثير ناس بيقولوا انا على جرايندر بسمع حكي so I'm going to remove the app. انا على فيسبوك ما في حط صوري so I'm going to pretend to be straight on Facebook or I'm going to adhere to what society thinks a man should look like or a woman should look like. So we assume fake identities وبنرجع whenever someone is actually being honest about their identity on Facebook or on Grindr or on the street نرجع it's something new and it's harassed all over again and it will never be normalized within this cycle. So the solution is never this is actually our recommendation for these communities, and this is a recommendation that drives away from blaming victims. بالعكس, this goes, the biggest recommendation is stay in these spaces, stay online, stay on these apps, be visible on Facebook, be outspoken on Facebook, like what you said. Hate speech is countered with more speech, not with censorship. Even self-censorship, which is, in my opinion, the most dangerous kind. So, بالعكس, they need to insist on being out there. And it is society's job and our jobs and to make sure that it's a safe environment for them, even though it's not. But it should be. Like, مش إنه يختفوا, لأنه that's another form of oppression that's even worse sometimes.
And yeah, I was just gonna say it's sure, in some ways there's a form of resistance, but at the same time it's I think part of the recommendations, and I think you asked a question about recommendations, is how to actually do this in a secure manner and how not to, because especially because you mentioned dating apps, this and we mentioned Mashra Layla concert, there was a huge campaign afterwards that happened in Egypt where people were, through these dating apps, from Grindr to Romeo to others, where people were faced catfishing attacks or honeypots basically. So they'd meet up with someone, it turns out to be actually the authorities and so on and so forth. So how do you secure yourself? And I just want to make sure, okay, I think we have 5 minutes, so you might want to say your points, and I don't know if anyone has one burning question. We'll take that and then wrap up.
Yeah, regarding Safe we as Article 19, we've been working with Grindr for the past around 2 years on making Grindr more safe for the since Grindr mainly for men, gay men, so making it more secure. Probably there's going to be more developments. Probably my other colleagues here can talk more about it later on after the session. So yeah, we're trying to make Grindr more catfishing free, sort of. And
Yeah.
we're trying to work this directly with the Grindr on this, make it more private. Maybe later on might have the messenger could be encrypted and so on. So that's one of the things we're trying to make these spaces more safe.
Yeah, I mean, so there's the dating apps. There's
Yes.
also if people get harassed or face any form of harassment, always document, take screenshots. Some of the other things I would recommend is also it would be great to have a trusted circle of
Yes.
friends, colleagues, family, whichever, because sometimes there's always shaming around. If it's non-consensual image sharing, maybe there might be some shame attached to it or whatever. So sometimes it's good to have a trusted circle around you to actually support you with that. But documentation is key. And again, there are different, like some platforms aren't great when it comes to that, but other platforms are trying to do their best to actually deal with whether it's stalking or other forms of harassment. Before we wrap up, anyone has like one burning final question? Oh, wow, okay. Okay, well, خلاص we've ختمنا العلم زي ما بيقولوا. Okay, so thank you so much for hanging in there in the last session. I want to thank the panelists so much. I would recommend reading the reports from SMEX, which is out. The Article 19 report will be out soon. And if you're in Lebanon, please use Harass Tracker. Before you go, we have a final closing session that's happening downstairs at 5:30. Okay, thank you.